Tonight, it's Apocalypse Now as Brad Pitt tries to stop a zombie invasion in World War Z.
Two Indigenous boys find their spiritual connection in Satellite Boy.
And Steve Carell becomes a better man in the comedy Despicable Me 2. Good evening.
Hello.
Also tonight, Viggo Mortensen's new identity has deadly consequences in Everybody Has a Plan.
And the classic this week is Yasujiro Ozu's 1953 film Tokyo Story. But first, David, tell us about the much anticipated World War Z, or is it Z?
I think it's Z.
All right.
I'd call it Z. Retired UN operative Jerry Lane, Brad Pitt, is living in domestic tranquility with his wife, Muriel Enos, and two daughters in suburban Philadelphia. But one morning, in a worse-than-usual traffic jam, mayhem explodes literally as people start attacking and biting one another. After getting his family to a safer place, Jerry is assigned to discover the source of the outbreak and how to stop it.
Mr. Undersecretary. Your secretary here says you were his best investigator when you were at the UN. I want to send you in with the team. Help Dr. Fossbach find whatever it is he needs.
Wrong. I wanted for the circumstances to speak for themselves.
Can't help you. Can't leave my family.
Take a look around here, Mr. Lane. Each and every one of these people are here because they serve a purpose. There's no room here for non-essential personnel. You want to help your family? Let's figure out how we stop this. It's your choice, Mr. Lane.
This generally superior zombie movie doesn't over-explain what's happened to the world, though there are hints in early news reports of environmental disasters. The zombie attack doesn't occur gradually, but seemingly in an instant, all over the world. And before long, Jerry is travelling to Korea, where it may have begun, to Israel for some remarkable scenes of mass zombie attacks, and eventually to a laboratory in Wales. Some scenes are handled chaotically, others are impressive in their depiction of mounting horror, and a sequence aboard a passenger plane is chillingly effective. Brad Pitt brings an added level of quality to what might have been just another piece of schlock, but then so does director Mark Forster, whose previous work, Monsters Ball, Finding Neverland, The Kite Runner and Quantum of Solace, didn't exactly prepare us for a large-scale zombie movie, Margaret.
No, it didn't at all. I'm telling you, it came as a complete surprise to me. I believe this was a very troubled production. There are a number of writers listed on the credits. I believe that reshoots pushed the budget close to $200 million. It's a lot of money to spend on a movie.
A lot of money to get back.
And really, for the number of writers, they're amazing set pieces. I mean, the tension in this film is sustained right through, I think, and it's very effective. It comes from the fact that it is one set piece with, incredible tension. Next set piece, incredible tension.
Each one handled in a different style.
Yes, but no real character development.
Well, you see, that may be because in the original book, there is no Brad Pitt character. There's no character that goes right through. Each element, the book, is written by the son of Mel Brooks, and each scene, each episode has a different sort of character. So for the screen, they've written this Brad Pitt character.
Well, maybe maybe the adaptation, but I mean, at the same time, if you're making a fictional piece and you're putting a character in the centre of it, it mightn't be a bad idea to develop him a little bit. Well, and I think Brad Pitt is enormously charismatic on screen. There's no denying that. But I'm saying, if you're going to write something, give it a bit of substance.
He's a sort of a symbol.
And it's really, the plot is a bit far-fetched if you think about it.
It's a zombie plot, Margaret. What do you expect?
Isn't it symbolic of what's happening?
Well, I think zombie films are always symbolic of something. What are you giving?
I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, me too, 3.5.
Does it live in the jungle?
Oh. No.
Is it an animal you would have for a pet?
Yes.
Is it a cat?
Yes. Ha ha ha.
You totally got one.
Why are there so many? It's like 3 in the last 5 minutes.
What is going on?
Hey.
Yo.
He's just gonna keep going, Daddy?
Hold on, guys.
Daddy, be careful on the road.
It's okay, baby.
Jerry?
Get back in your car right now! Remain with your
Zombie movies have always been a metaphor for something. I mean, Night of the Living Dead, Vietnam War. Do you see it that way as well?
Yeah, I believe zombies are the best symbol or metaphor in cinema today, and I think there's so much. Obviously, everybody has their own interpretation of them, and but they were always very popular in a time of change. In the 70s, through Romero's time, when they obviously were a metaphor for consumerism and so on, and for the Vietnam War, and so there's many parallels. But today we're also living in a time of change, and I believe that a lot of people have a lot of fear of the future, and basically based on economics or environment and so on. And it's very easy for those movies to tap into the fear. They're almost a mirror to society.
That's a scary thought. That was director Mark Forster talking about World War Z, which opens nationally this week. Indigenous films are the success stories of Australian cinema at the moment. Katrina Mackenzie's Satellite Boy may not be as exuberant as Brand New Day or The Sapphires, but it is just as heartfelt. At the beginning of the film, young Pete, Cameron Wallaby, emerges out of the landscape with his grandfather, Jagamurra, David Gulpilil. It's obvious that the boy is tuning out to Jagamurra's attempts to teach him the meaning, the feeling of the land. Pete's more interested in when his mother will be returning from her hospitality course to open a restaurant at the open-air cinema where they live.
When Mum comes back, we're going to open up a big restaurant. See, look here. Kitchen. Land room. TV. Hey, you're not open yet till Mom comes back.
She's not coming back.
She is coming back.
She's not coming back. She is not. Where Randrak Wang Pam? Where Randrak? That Wangara Yanar Garma, Ako ang Araban Yakayom.
I can look after myself.
Pete's mate, Calmaine, Joseph Pedley, is a bit of a tearaway, and when Pete learns that a mining company is planning to demolish his home, he and Calmaine head off to the town where the mining company is based to protest. Evading the police, they're forced into harsh territory.
I'm going to be an astronaut when I'm big. Cruise to stars, cruise to space.
What? No restaurant? I thought you were saving the cinema for you and your mum. We're dead, cuz. Real black fella. I'm hopeless.
Nah, we right.
This is not a complex tale, but at its heart is a quest for identity, and that identity lies with the land itself. The rugged beauty of the bungles and surrounding areas has been captured breathtakingly by cinematographer Jeffrey Simpson. The two boys, Cameron Wallaby and Jacob Pedley, both completely inexperienced, bring a cheeky, likeable charm to their characters, while that stalwart of Australian cinema, David Gulpilil, grounds the film with Jagamurra's connection, both spiritual and familial, to the land and its people. David.
There is that beautiful element of this journey that these boys undertake. And how good are these boys? They're just such
well, considering,
lovely young actors.
They've done nothing before.
Yeah, that's right. And the journey that they take and the changes that take place in them, or at least in Pete anyway. It's a lovely film. It's a very simple film in some ways, but also quite a deep film about country and so on.
And that spiritual connection, the sky, the stars, that connection between what's up there and what's down here.
Exactly. Yes. I think I don't know about you, but I had some problems with the character of the mother. Did you feel that too?
No, not really. I felt that this was a woman who wants to leave behind the life that she's had and wants to forge a more prosperous life, maybe. But that's part of the dramatic tension in the
Yeah,
film.
I thought some of the scenes between them were a little bit awkward, but I mean, apart from that, I think it's really beautifully done, and Katrina Mackenzie's done a fantastic job, I think. And as you say, Jeffrey Simpson's cinematography is, as always,
You know, it's so beautiful, this country. It's
wonderful.
Yeah, it's
That
exciting
light.
to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm giving this 3.5 stars.
Me too, 3.5.
Kene jonga maraja. Kene jonga ngambar apa ne? Kirinya no ane nyere manyan. Kene gor menak kamdali abadore. Parangone nyamja.
Satellite Boy is an allegorical film, you know, it's full of symbols and it's not realism at all. You know, the old cinema screen, which sits below the Milky Way. You know, in Aboriginal cosmology, the Milky Way is heaven. It's a map, and then it reflects the earth below, and we are these characters that inhabit the middle space. And our job is to find out where we belong, and we use both to find that out. And you know, George Miller says that cinema is the church for the 20th century, and we all flock there and sit in the dark to try and understand who we are. Well, when David Gulpilil calls up to the old man in the Milky Way, it's like, you know, in a way, you know, the Milky Way transcends cinema and all those stories that go with it. So there's a comment there about Aboriginal culture and the land and you know, when the boys are in the satellite dish cupped between that space, between heaven and earth, and it's like Gulpilil's calling out, where have you taken him, bring my grandson back. It's a symbol of the connection to culture as well. So, and that's when little boy starts to get an idea of, maybe there's, I'm feeling, you know, I'm getting it. He starts to get that thing.
That was writer-director Katrina Mackenzie talking about Satellite Boy, which opens in limited release around the country this week. And there are longer versions of both tonight's interviews on our website. In the original Despicable Me, made in 2010, the central character, Gru, was an arch-villain whose latest dastardly plan was to steal the moon with the help of 3 little girls from an orphanage. Of course, the Grouch, voiced with a very ripe Central European accent by Steve Carell, became fond of the girls, and they're still with him in the sequel, in which Gru is hired by the AVL, Anti-Villain League, to help agent Lucy Wilde, Kristen Wiig, locate and capture a bad guy posing as a restaurant owner in a shopping mall. The bad guy has a nasty habit of injecting people with a substance that turns them into purple people eaters.
Subtle.
Here. Hold tight. Ah. I have you now.
This French-produced 3D animation is pretty much the mixture as before, though not as original as it was the first time around. I still think the character of Gru is inspired by Mr. Bean, but whatever the inspiration, he's a wonderful character, and Carell's voice work is great. I also like Russell Brand's Nefario, Gru's assistant, and Kristen Wiig's Lucy, who at one stage seems destined to be assigned to Australia. She's a splendid heroine. This is one of those animated films that should appeal to all ages. Margaret.
It did me, David.
Yes, you liked it?
I like this one.
You're very fussy about animated
I'm very
films.
fussy about my animation. Yeah, no, there's something very charming at the heart of this. And I think Yeah, you're right. Gru is a gorgeous creation, you know.
And we haven't mentioned the minions on there.
No, I know. And I mean, it's amazing how they create personalities out of the minions.
Yes.
You see, they couldn't do it with World War Z with a human character, but they could do it with those little thingos running around the place.
All right.
But I think also Kristen Wiig is terrific as the voice for the heroine.
Yeah.
So no, I think this is fun, and it is something that parents can take their children to and enjoy along with them.
And maybe because it's produced in France, it's a little bit different from the average American animation. So there's that element to it as well.
Yes, possibly. Yeah.
I'm giving it 3.5. What about you?
I am giving it 3.5 too. This is dangerous. We're agreeing. Despicable Me 2 opens everywhere this week. Our next film is Everybody Has a Plan. Argentine director Anna Peterberg's debut feature has Viggo Mortensen in the role of twin brothers, Augustin and Pedro. I wasn't aware that Viggo Mortensen had spent a significant amount of time in his youth in Argentina, so his Spanish is convincing, but much of the rest of the film is not. I was scratching my head at the end, wondering what it was all about. The screenplay is bizarre, to say the least. So many unexplained occurrences, not least why Augustin would take on the role of his brother. There are no connecting dots here. There is a murder early in the film that is completely unexplained. Or did I miss something? With so little to work on, it's no wonder Viggo Mortensen gives such a bland performance. But there are no clues in him either. This film's a bit of a mystery and not a particularly intriguing one. David, enlighten me.
Well, I didn't find it a mystery at all. I don't quite understand why you didn't follow. I mean, it was all not maybe entirely believable, but certainly, I mean, it's a very classical plot of a man taking the place of someone who looks like him, in this case a twin, and then discovering that the person he's taken the place of is involved in some crime, like Jack Nicholson in The Passengers, the same story.
Excuse me, you know, there are flashbacks to their youth and there are, you know, and there's no connecting link between those.
Well, no, but I think there is.
No, there isn't, because he knows what he's going back into, actually.
No, look, I think it's quite logical, and I think the things are explained, and the murder you refer to, if that's the scene I'm thinking of, is also quite explicable, given the way. I mean, it's not very nice, but it makes sense. Now, look, for me, I found it quite a clear film. As I say, not entirely a convincing one, but I thought Viggo Mortensen was very good. I thought some of the supporting actors were fine. I liked the setting, again, of this river.
You like these, you know, river settings, don't you?
Well, I like unusual...
The bayou, the mud.
I like unusual settings, and yeah, I thought, you know, it's not a major film, but I think it's quite impressive.
Maybe I got this completely wrong.
I think you might.
And I'm willing to admit that, but I mean, I just felt there was nothing really holding this film together in terms of motivation.
Oh,
That's
I don't agree. I think for a first feature, I think it's really quite okay. What are you giving it?
I'm giving it 2.
I'm giving it 3.5. Everybody Has a Plan opens in limited national release next week. And now for the classic. It's generally accepted that Western film audiences discovered Japanese cinema in 1951 when Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon screened at the Venice Film Festival. A few years later, Tainosuke Kinugasa's Gate of Hell, photographed in glowing colour, also made an impact. Yasuhiro Ozo's Tokyo Story was made in 1953, the same year as Gate of Hell, but it would be over a decade before it was screened in the West, mainly because Japanese film authorities believed that Ozu's work was too Japanese and therefore unexportable. Born in 1903, Ozu was raised on Hollywood films and started directing himself at the age of 24. He made over 50 films, and by the mid-30s were about families, ordinary families, and the minor everyday crises they face. In Tokyo Story, children worry about how to cope with their elderly parents.
ねえ兄さん、私考えたんだけど、ちょっと3000円ばっかり出してくれない？
なんで？
私も出す。
Ozu and his screenwriter, Kogo Noda, were inspired by Leo McCarey's Make Way for Tomorrow when they made Tokyo Story. And like the American film, this is a gentle, subtle depiction of family life, filled with understated detail. Late scenes between father and daughter-in-law are as affecting as anything the screen has given us. And the performances by actors who worked time and again with Ozu are simply flawless. Margaret.
It's got a most gorgeous formalism about it that actually does give insight into the rather formal relationships between the generations in Japan at that time. Yeah. Because there's a lack of warmth. It's sort of like seems to be based on respect. And pride in the achievements.
And a certain rigidity too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that lovely relationship with the daughter-in-law who's, I mean, these children in Tokyo are too busy. Their lives are too busy to cope with their parents. And it's only the daughter-in-law that makes time for them and treats them beautifully. And it's, the war hovers over it because the son has been killed in the war. And you realise that for Japan, this was, a terribly difficult time getting over that period, like it was for many other countries around the world.
But Japan being a defeated country too, there's that element as well.
Yes. Yeah. But it's, and those lovely transitions to, scenes outside the home with that music overlay that, before he comes back to, it's very beautiful.
This is something Ozu did all the time. He punctuates these internal scenes with sort of abstract scenes almost of things outside on the street. Yes, I love his films. I love this film particularly. Let's have a look at this scene at the railway station. The parents are going home and the children are dealing with their departure.
お父さん、あんまりお酒上がっちゃダメよ。
いやあ、ゆうべは久しぶりに友達に会うたもんじゃけ。
もう治りました。頭痛。
ああ、もうええ。まあ、あんまり飲まんことですね。いやあ。
でももう今度で懲りたでしょうよ。
いやあ、どうもいろいろやっけはかけて、おかげで楽しかったよ。
みんな忙しいのに。ほんまにお世話になって。でもみんなにも会えたし、これでもうもしものことがあってもわざわざ来てもらわんでもええけ。何お母さん、そんな心細いこと。まるで一生のお別れみたいに。ほんまよ。随分遠いんじゃもんの。
Oh, David, that daughter is not gentle.
No.
That was Tokyo Story, a wonderful choice, David.
And that's the show for tonight. Good night from us.
Good night.